This is Chuck Gafford with the MilHousing Realty Group, a top 1% team nationally, as well as here in San Antonio, Texas, Military City, USA. And as part of our seller series, I want to talk to you about the question that's on everybody's mind. Are we looking at another housing market crash like in 2007? So I want to focus on three different topics that should help highlight some of those key factors that led to the housing market crash and what's underlying the current market, both supply and demand side, again, for today's market. And at the end of this, we should be able to determine together if we are looking at another housing market crash. So the factors that led into the 2007 housing market crash were primarily in two areas. So deregulation, speculation. So deregulation, so the no income, no asset loans that became infamous as causing the 2007 crash no longer exists. So you have to provide evidence of both income and assets to support the purchase of a home, regardless of the loan product that you're using. So that concern we can just throw out the window. Then we look at adjustable rate mortgages, kind of the tipping point, or what caused the tipping point for that 07 crash. So at that time, they were 50% of all mortgages. Currently, they are at 10%. So they are ticking back up, but not enough to where we would be concerned about it. Additionally, the adjustable rate mortgages, or ARMs, that previously existed would adjust every month, and so would become instantly unaffordable depending on how much interest rates rise. Currently, there is an adjustment period or a lock-in period for 3 to 7 years before those adjustments start being made to those ARMs and to those monthly payments. So there's a lot more give in the adjustable rate mortgage than ever existed before, because of regulation and because specifically of the Dodd-Frank Act of 2010. So let's talk about the speculation side. So 2007, we were looking at about 34% of homes being sold vacant within 1 to 3 months. So those are either flips or homes that are being bought, held, and then resold with no appreciable improvement, just based purely on the hope of appreciation and that 14.7 appreciation that they were seeing in 2006, 2007. That we no longer see those numbers. We're seeing less than 10% vacant sales, and we are seeing less than a month, so less than 30 days for those staying on market. So that also is a leading indicator that we track and is not in line with what we're seeing for the run-up to the previous recession and housing market crash. So let's talk supply side now. So from 07-09, we saw a 64% collapse in new construction sales. And so what that led to is a huge decline in demand. So for 5 years, from 07 to 12, we saw effectively no significant new construction occurring nationally. And so that's caused a huge drop in supply. Now you combine that with all the things that we've been seeing on the news for the last 2 years as far as pandemic supply chain issues. So whether it's the labor to build the homes or the materials to get to the geographies that they're building in and wanting to build in, significantly constrained by those stay-at-home orders that sent a whole lot of our construction workers, quite frankly, back to their home countries or back to their areas where they're from. And all those materials that were being manufactured, a lot of people were staying at home and couldn't manufacture those materials. So there's a huge demand, but not a whole lot of supply there. So again, another deviation from 07, where it was purely an over demand and supply was not an issue. And so that brings us to older sellers as far as our supply issues. So older sellers, we are seeing, especially those 64 years of age and older, we're very hesitant to sell at the mean range that we've been accustomed to over the last 7 years. Instead, they were opting to stay in their homes for On average, it used to be 7 years, and now it's tipping towards 10 and 11 years. That demographic is staying in their homes. And so we're seeing half as many homes on the market from that demographic specifically. Again, initially because of fears of contracting COVID, and then secondly, the surge in housing market prices has led to them staying out of the market once they're no longer concerned about COVID. So that brings us to our final topic, which is demand. So the largest demographic and generation in the country is millennials, and millennials are just now reaching their prime earning years. Because of that, their demand for housing has caused housing demand to double over the last 5 years, and because of those supply issues, we're really starting to feel it. What we've been seeing as far as the stay-at-home orders keeping folks from going into those workplaces has kept them at home. They're looking around, and they're wanting more home. They're not wanting to have an apartment. They're not wanting to have a studio. They want to go farther out and build larger, to have more space and be more comfortable because they're working from home. They have the option of commuting not at all, or maybe 1 to 2 days a week, in which case they can live 30, 45 minutes, an hour from their work location. And they're perfectly comfortable with that, and they're willing to make that sacrifice so they can get more. And that's pushing a lot of demand for construction outside of traditional city centers. And then we're looking at good old FOMO, so fear of missing out. So especially in the last year, as the Federal Reserve has signaled that they're going to raise interest rates 0.5 point every time they meet. So May 5th, June 14th, July 27th, we're going to see a rise in interest rates. The Fed has signaled this. We believe that we will see 0.5 every time they meet. And because of that, buyers are trying to lock in those interest rates and buy now because they're afraid of the prices that are coming later. And by and large, that is the case. We just don't know how big a hit the Federal Reserve is going to take out of mortgage affordability. So with that, kind of to summarize, the 2007 housing market crash causes, so those major causes of deregulation and speculation, just currently there's no indicators that lead to believe that they are currently in the market. And regulation has minimized those risks. Additionally, we have severe supply issues, both COVID-based and based on the last recession. And then demand has skyrocketed because of the entry of millennials into the housing market, as well as the changes in lifestyle that the pandemic has created. So to answer our big question, are we looking at another housing market crash? All indicators point to no. So we would love to hear from you guys. Reach out to us through any of the socials. My focus is on Facebook and Instagram. You can comment on this video wherever you see it. And as always, if there's ever anything that I or my team of veterans and military spouses can do for you, either in San Antonio or connecting you with a great military spouse or veteran realtor anywhere in the country, it would be our absolute honor. Thank you so much.